In this part of the country, we love to be outdoors and use our beautiful decks. Stay tuned for this one, everybody. We've got an expert to talk about it. Welcome everyone to Your Little Castle Show. I get to highlight those business owners making a difference here in the small business realm where most of the good work gets done. I am a big advocate of having a beautiful deck on the exterior of your house because this allows you a little bit of that freedom, a little bit of autonomy. Where are you going to cook your steaks if you don't have a beautiful deck? And we got an expert here to talk about it. With that, we'll give a shout out to our sponsors, Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things in a nice house, your little castle, if you will, and you probably have a deck on that little castle. So with that, we're going to talk to Alan, my buddy Alan here. We're going to put up here he's got a beautiful face, a lot of great work there. Alan, welcome to the Your Little Castle Show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
Well, again, I have a bit of an affinity for deck. I actually had the biggest deck you'd ever made, and you said there was a big one out at a big commercial place. Yeah, there was a very large 20 by 60.
20 by 60, yep, out there at the Riverport Amphitheater.
Riverport Amphitheater.
We got several of them out there around there, but that was the big one at the top of the lawn. If you've been on there, you've been on one of my decks from many moons ago.
Okay. And I thought I was going to be cool. Now, I guess maybe I should have said residential, because my deck at my old house was 20 by 42 or something like that. We went from one end, it had a sliding glass door on both ends, and went from one to the other. Normal decks aren't quite that big usually. What's the average size of a deck these days?
Oh, I say 12 by 20, 16 by 20s, 12 by 16s kind of seem to be something that fits into the realm of a family. It depends on the size of the family. Household sometimes determines the size of the deck that you're going to have.
Yeah. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what all are you going to do on the deck? I put hot tubs on my decks. You got to put extra supports up for that. How often do people do that?
We've done a couple of them, not as much. Usually we try to tell people, you really want something that heavy, 9 foot in the air? Because I mean that's a lot of weight. But yeah, if needed, yeah, we do extra beams, and we definitely beef up the support because you don't want her falling on you.
Yeah, you had a deck with what's an average hot tub, about an extra 5,000 or 6,000 pounds on top of that. Exactly. Put that down on the ground, maybe.
Yeah, safer on the ground.
Consider. Why'd you decide to get into this? What led you to where you decided, okay, this is what I had construction background, but what led to that?
Yeah, I mean, I was a framing carpenter running crews back when I was a young 22-year-old guy, and a guy that trained me said, hey, man, he gave me a call one day and said, I'd like to come build decks for me. And I kind of laughed at him. I'm like, building decks? He goes, yeah, I just took this job with one of the largest companies in the Midwest, so come on out, and man, we could really use a guy like you. He knew my work ethic. He knew what kind of guy I would be. And I said, why not? I moved from Illinois to Missouri, took the job, and I never looked back 35 years later.
35 years building decks, you know you've got somebody here that's going to get that job done right for you. 35 years specifically in the decking industry, is that right?
That's correct, yep. I took a couple little different changes here and there with the economy, and a couple bigger opportunities at times to kind of slide out of it to see what I wanted to do. But it's just like thing, no matter how far you get out, it drags you right back in when you get that kind of respect and name that I kind of sort of built throughout the large companies.
And not to name any big corporate names, but you've worked for the big guys too. You enjoy owning your own. When did you start owning your own place?
So I started my own business around 2000, and I built a company with a partner of mine, and we ran that for about 7-8 years. And then I got an opportunity that I kind of felt like maybe my life was an opportunity to step up into a bigger corporate world. So I took an opportunity. He took the company over. He still owns it to this day. He kind of runs the South. I kind of run the West. So we don't really compete with each other, and we're still friends. But anyway, I took a chance, see what I'd do it. Before you know it, I was back in the deck business.
Yeah, corporate America, I've worked it. It's a great place to get your feet wet. It's a pretty steady work, but when you really work for yourself, that's when you get a lot more fulfillment. You get to feel like you're really making a difference.
Absolutely, yeah. Being your own boss is what everybody sometimes dreams of when you're a little boy. Like, I'm going to start my own company, and I'm going to be my own boss. And I mean, it's harder than it sounds, right. And it's tougher than it looks. And but overall, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time with a family company, so that's helped out.
Yeah, my dad warned me. He says, "Now, Carter, when you're the owner, when you own your own company, now everybody's your boss. You got every homeowner is telling you, I want this, I need that, I want to get it
Yeah, I
done."
got more bosses now than I have when I run a big company, but I take better satisfaction when I know that they're happy that we've done something quite quality for them and that they're happy to refer us down the line.
Yeah, well, ultimately getting that opportunity to work for yourself and take control. With great power comes great responsibility. Do you feel a little more of the weight, but at the same time you get more control?
It's a 7 days a week job when you're self-employed. It never ends. But but the satisfaction is waking up going, hey, I worked hard enough to be able to build something that I can call my own, that I created and created a name and provide something for my family for years to come.
And what's it like as a small business owner? I mean, that gives you the opportunity to be more in control as well, but you carry more roles also too. Are you the guy you're taking care of the whole company, obviously?
Yeah, so I own the company and I do all the sales. I just don't believe in a big sales force. That just drives your cost up. I feel like I'm better than any salesman out there because I was a builder and as a company owner for so long. It's like I understand what they need. I can answer their questions more than just a trained salesman. I've been there, done it. So when they have those off questions, they go, hey, they feel comfortable knowing that this guy knows what he's talking about because he's been there, he's done it. That helps out.
What's it like getting some help? You got a pretty good sized crew. We got some pictures we're going to show everybody of some of your work and your crew.
Yeah.
What's it like finding the right workers, the right guys to build out your team?
That's been a journey, and a lot of people ask me, how do you find that? Well, 3 of them are my sons.
Okay.
2 sons of my son-in-law, so they've been with me. Some of their buddies came on board years ago. A lot of these guys have been around me since they were high school kids, and now they've been 7, 8, 9 years with me, and they've grown up. I've watched guys get married, I've watched guys build home, get their own home. So, it's nice to have those guys, and they've been with me for so long. We have very little turnover in our company because I feel like I run it pretty fair. I run it like a business owner, but you got to run it like a family as opposed to these guys are my employees. So that helps out.
Yeah, I noticed we put a tagline for you: family owned and operated.
Yep.
And that gives you a little bit more satisfaction, I guess. You're helping these guys. You said you're helping them. They're developing, building their families too.
Exactly.
And,
right. And it's fun to watch them all grow, and then they take pride knowing that we've built something together throughout these years when it was just me and a couple guys, and then me and 4 guys, and they just kept growing over the last several years to where we're about 15 employees, and we'll probably add another 2 or 3 this year. We're already growing faster this year than we were last year.
Nice. How many decks do you average on a week, a year, a month, or what?
So we're typically running around 5 crews. So it depends on the size of the deck. Sometimes we can do in a week. Sometimes it may take 2 weeks on there, but we'll do 100+ decks a year.
Well, yeah. So you're doing at least an average of 2 a week. It looks like.
We're usually doing 4 or 5 a week.
Okay.
But some of them may take a week, 7, 8, 10 days.
Gotcha.
So it can blend in 2 weeks. But each crew will build at least 2 to 3 decks a month. So if we got we'll try to do 12 to 15 decks a month.
Okay. Is your most busy time then during the summer? Then
we are booked out every year round. We have not had to look for work where we're like, oh my God, we don't have any jobs. It's been quite a blessing to be able to have that name to where the phone just rings nonstop. But yeah, I mean, obviously spring it gets crazy. Come March, April, it'll be nonstop for me running leads, doing all the bids. It's 14, 15 hours a day. 6, 7 days a week sometimes. I'm on Sunday doing paperwork. Saturday mornings I'm doing paperwork, drinking coffee. It never ends, but it's what you put into it is what you'll get out of it.
Yeah, and what does the average deck go for these days in terms of, you were talking a little bit about size, and what's the average cost these days for
Yeah, so I mean, I would say 90% of our decks are maintenance-free decks, so we're always going to be a little higher end. We do a handful of wood decks year-round, but 20, 25, 30 can be an average-sized deck. Depends on the lighting, So
Okay.
One thing about deck building is that unlike a roof or siding where you just kind of get this and that, there's so many variables that we can put into it with lighting, different color picture frames, upgraded rails, wrapping your 6x6 post, your beams, adding a dry space underneath there. There's a lot of different variables that go into it. But yeah, I mean, 18, 20, 25, 30,000, probably average.
And historically, and you're saying a lot of them are composite now. With regard to the supports,
yeah,
a lot of your joists in the posts, are those now, you historically they are treated wood, but now you're going to more, you've got framing systems?
Yeah, so the old, the old ways of building decks, like it always was always using wood, and nowadays the It seems like the wood is losing its strength. So nowadays, even the plan reviewers, and when we go out to submit permits for deck, they're really changing the span charts over the years. So now, because they feel like the wood is not as strong as what it used to be. So now if it's not as strong, you got to put more wood into the deck. So while we still, build mostly wood frame decks with composite decking, we are now venturing into composite framing, aluminum framing, and steel framing as an alternative if you're looking for that deck that's going to last you for sure the rest of your life.
Yeah, I said the supports are just as important as the decking itself.
Yeah, the substructure is very important.
And if you start to see those fail, I do a little bit of work myself. And we had to put one pole where you could tell was failing, and it was composite, or I'm sorry, it was treated, and it was starting to pull out. I asked my buddy who's construction, he goes, how long do you think that's going to last? He's like, I don't know, a few more weeks.
Yeah, and you can't play around with that. Not with a deck. We've had several fall famously in St. Louis over the last 30 years. So when that's happened, the codes and the plan reviewers start going, uh-oh, and they start reviewing things of what was done and load rates and what have you. So it's a big business now.
Well, yeah, it's something you better make sure when you're constructing something of such size, and it's going to carry, you got 30, 50 people on top of a deck.
Yeah.
You want to make sure you're not having
right. You got hot tub, planter boxes, and now you get all this outdoor furniture you can buy. And some of the stuff's not light either. It can get pretty heavy. So yeah, you want to make sure you got your structure right.
Tell me what it is that fuels your passion for this. I mean, you've obviously stuck around doing this for 35 years. What do you love most about it?
Yeah, I guess it's the satisfaction of taking a pile of lumber and a bunch of stacked boards and rails in boxes, and you're taking a homeowner's dream of something that they're going to walk out and look at, and they're going to obviously invest in for, the next 20, 25 years of their life, 30 years, hopefully will last. We hope it's their last deck we ever build, and that's the goal. So taking that creation, because it is custom, you think about building walls. Well, you just kind of bang 2x4s together. But when you talk about a deck, it's not only framing, but it's finish. And the finish is very important to a deck. So I would say it's the continuous ability to take all that and look what you create. It's like an artist. You take a canvas, and an artist takes out that paint, you watch him, next thing you know, he's painting this amazing picture. You're like, well, how did he do that? Well, it takes a special artist to be able to paint that picture. Not everybody can go out and paint a picture. Well, I'm thinking the same thing. Not everybody can go out and build a deck because of all the finish and to make that look like a painting.
Yeah, if you think about it and realize, but it's a matter of, it's an entire structure. It is not just one major component. When you're doing the interior of the walls, you're doing your
right.
2x4s and framing. But now you've got to tie that all together. It's got to be structured correctly. It's got to be able to bear the weight. And there's just a lot that depends on this thing to make sure that the whole thing comes together.
I've had framing carpenters come and say, hey man, can you help me with my deck? I can frame a home, but I cannot build a deck. Right. And so here I am teaching these union journeyman carpenters how to build a deck because of the uniqueness of, as you see in the photos that we have, of the quality and the type of materials that we use. You can mess a deck real quick, and it can cost you a lot of money by making mistakes. So that's why they hire professionals and spend their money in the correct way.
Well, with that, we give you a little shout out to some of the work. I put your website up there for just a split second, but I also like to show off getting some great, nice reviews up here too as well. And you can see 7 reviews: Megan, Bobby, and a whole list of other people that have had nice things to say about you. What is it you think you enjoy most about the people you're doing these decks for and writing nice things about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to know that not only were they very happy they made a decision to go with my company, and a lot of them are friends of mine that use me. Well, when you build for family and friends, that can be a little tricky thing, because if you mess it up, there can go your friendship, there can go your family deal. So the fact that I've built for many of my friends that am very happy to this day, and all that, but then they also refer me out like they do, which is very big in my business, is referrals. Happy client is more than happy to make a good referral. An unhappy client is even more motivated to give you a bad review. So it's very important to see those reviews up there.
Yeah, I was just saying, most people know that if you upset just one person, they'll tell 10 people. But if you do a great job, they'll only tell 3.
One bad review is about it can make like 10. One good review versus 10. One bad review, the damage is far worse on a bad review versus a good review.
Well, that's why you keep those reviews and rankings up there as you do. We get to enjoy some fun in the community, doing some community work with some of our local organizers who are doing fun stuff. So check out what we've got going on here. We were at a golf tournament here with one of our past clients was there recently. Check this out.
Hey everybody, it's John Fogerty.
Thank you.
You're kind of a musician on the side, right?
Yeah, I'm going to sing a little bit later today, but not until after the golf.
Right. Summit, great organization. We love you guys. Great interview we had.
Yeah, we had a great time on the podcast.
That was fun, man. That aired on ABC about 6 months ago.
Yeah, probably 6 months ago. It was right fall, I think. So yeah, maybe a little more.
Well, you guys do good work. Tell me why you love this event here. You're supporting Will.
Yeah, so We'll Be Inspired golf tournament. Veterans, first responders, 100% everything goes right back into it. So always support the best and try to take care of ours and take care of us. Thank you, guys.
That's awesome. There we go. All right, everybody. We'll be back for more. Giddy up.
His name is Carter Rethwich, but in St. Louis, he's known as the Cardinal Cowboy. He's a well-known fixture in the stands at sporting events in the Gateway City. He's one of its greatest cheerleaders, a super fan like no other. When he makes his rounds at almost every home game, he shares his love for sports with the rest of fandom with a smile, a cheer, some positive encouragement, and lots and lots of selfies and pics. But the Cardinal Cowboy was born of a tragic incident. Rethwich was an aspiring athlete in high school and college. He dreamed of playing in the big leagues, but those dreams ended when he and 3 of his college friends were hit with a devastating crash by a 5-time drunk driver. One of his best friends died. Carter suffered a critical head injury. The trauma put him in a coma for 6 days. The doctors said he was never expected to function again. Those expectations never came true. He fought back and finished college. He was determined to prove the doctors wrong. Among other inspirations, it was his love of baseball that kept him going. And from his near-death experience, the Cardinal Cowboy emerged. His goal in life became to inspire others with positivity despite the odds, to help people believe in themselves and achieve their dreams.
So after my coma, I realized that it was up to me if I was going to accomplish my goals, if I was going to reach my dreams. Despite what the naysayers would say, the people that were discouraging me, like they do everyone, it's up to me if I'm going to make it. Don't listen to the naysayers. It's up to you. You decide whether you're going to succeed, whether you're going to reach your goals. Dream, and then always, always chase your dreams. Never give up. Giddy up.
Hey, we're looking for the small business owners and leaders in our community to be on our show. This is the Your Little Castle show. We air 3 times a week, every week on ABC, and we would like to put somebody you know, or maybe it's you, who's a business owner to be on our show. You'll sit right here in our guest chair, right here, sitting here talking to us. We're going to put on the wall your website and everything about you and highlight you as a leader. Fill out the form you see here on our website. It's bigleagues.com. And if you go to bigleagues.com, fill out this form. It takes just a couple seconds. And you can even schedule yourself right here. Schedule yourself to be on the show. And there is no charge for us to record you. There's no charge to be in the studio. Check it out if you would like to be on. Fill out the form again, bigleagues.com. This is where we can turn any interview into a series of clips. Check that out. Go to bigleagues.com. So there it is. Fun stuff we get to do in the community, a little bit about why we do this show. And I just enjoy highlighting those small business owners like yourself who are doing the work. Because it's not just your one job you're doing. You're taking on the task of running a company.
Right.
And
I wear a lot of hats.
Wear a lot of hats.
I wear a cowboy hat, but I wear a lot of hats.
Put out there. We put the hat on.
Right.
But The Deck Shop, family owned and operated. TheDeck-Shop.com. 636-385-4298. And cool logo you've got there too. But the family owned part is pretty important too. Let's do a quick, if you would, what I like to call a cost analysis. And this is the DIY world is where you got to be most wary out there, especially when back to why would you do that with unless you really got some structural engineers with you, because a deck is so important to have constructed properly. But what would you say is the version of why would you recommend somebody gets it professionally done rather than try to do it themselves?
Well, it can cost you a lot of money if you make a mistake. So,
Right.
you know, if you're not quite sure what you're doing, you know, invest. That's why you call the pros. I mean, you don't. If you think you can run electrical, you don't want to hook it up. You know, you're going to get shocked. You don't want to run plumbing if you think, hey, them lines might blow out on you. So the same thing with decking and a deck. You know, it takes a carpenter knowledge, obviously, to do that. You got to do permits on the majority of what we do. So you got to understand the building process of it to begin with. There's a lot of variables to make sure this deck is built to the proper strength, so we don't have a deck falling down, which is usually what happens. The deck is improperly built. So if it's not followed by building codes, and you know, somebody say, hey, I know somebody can kind of do it here, you know, don't waste your money, because we receive a handful of calls a year where somebody's hired somebody, thought they could do it, and they butchered their deck up, and they've called me and they say, Alan, can you come save us? And I mean, 3-4 a year, I'll probably save. Maybe a couple years ago, it was about 6 of them I think we had. But every year, it's a handful that we get called on that somebody tried to do it themselves and couldn't do it, or they had paid some, you know, maybe they had a son that maybe had a little experience, or a cousin or some friend, and they get involved in it, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, this is a mess. Save us. And so we go out and we save the decks.
What is the biggest fail point they're having? Is the deck pulling away from the house, or one of the posts
Sometimes,
not
again,
supported?
finish is big. You know, a lot of guys can frame some joists and nail it together and put some hangers on it and level it and do all that. But the finish is big on a deck here. And you can tell the difference between a professional finish on a deck and somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. And we've created and we've studied and we watch our competition, because everybody feeding off everybody to how to create the prettiest deck we can do, the best finish we can do, so that it looks that way for years to come, and not walk out and go, what were these people thinking? Why my picket's not spaced right? Why is this out of level? You know, and that's what we see. Yep.
Yeah, again, back to, you don't want to cut corners here, because,
No.
as you said, getting cheap, we write that one out, getting cheap can get very expensive, everybody.
Yes,
And
it
you
will.
don't want to try to save a few bucks to
It
have.
costs you more money in the long run.
Yeah, you're
if you
tearing
can't
down
do
the
it right.
deck.
Yeah.
You're doing some ground level work stuff, but now you're talking about stuff that's 8 or 10 feet in the air.
That's why people try to watch YouTube, like you said, DIY. I get it. Some stuff is probably DIY doing, but when you talk about as much money as a deck can cost, and you know, the structure, the ability to put something together that pretty, like, you know, like we do it every day. You hire the pros, spend your money correctly.
Well, very important to do so. So tell us, why should somebody choose you guys? Give me the real layout. What it is that sets you guys apart?
Experience. I've been in this business 35 years, so I worked for all the big companies, and so when people meet me, they understand, hey, they're talking to a guy that knows exactly the deck business. I know it as good as anybody. I feel I do, but I mean, there's a lot of great companies out here, so there's a lot of guys I know that's been at it as long as I have, and we're the old dogs in the business, I guess, and we've watched this business evolve from when it just used to be cedar and treated decks only, to the aluminum pickets came in, where that gave a little pizzazz, and now we got the maintenance-free decking that came in about 25 years ago in the market, 25, 27 years ago. Now the maintenance-free railings have come aboard, so the deck has changed. With my company, not only is the experience that I bring, but it's the family vibe that we have. My sons have been with me, my son-in-law has been with me for several years. We brought their buddies on, we train people within house. So you know what you're getting. You're getting a family company that cares about what we do on every job, not some sales company maybe that hires some subs out. And do they really care about you in the long run? Or us, we take it very personal because it's a family company.
Yeah, when you get that family vibe, then there's somebody to hold accountable, and
Exactly.
we
right.
talk about that too. You've got some certifications. They make you pass some tests. Some of the vendors that you resell,
Exactly.
they're gonna make sure you're certified to install their decks. Is that
Yeah, exactly. A lot of times it's just testing to understand. Like, we're a large Westbury seller, which is our railing systems. We love it. I got certified last year on it, and it was actually tougher than I thought. I'm thinking, oh, it's a rail test. Yeah, it's several this and here. I go through it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have studied a little bit more. You think you know it all and you don't. So it was very informative, and by me being certified, now we are able to offer a 7-year warranty on the railings alone, with
Really?
a lifetime on the product, but 7 years on the labor.
Okay.
So by being certified, we're able to offer that, whereas somebody who's not certified, and it takes a bunch, like I said, it was tougher than I thought to get certified. But the fact that we are 7-year warranty adds on to the other warranties that we offer.
Yeah, I say a lot of that. If there's a flaw in the construction, it'll fail within 7 years, and you'll catch it.
Exactly right.
Doesn't happen very often, but periodically something shifts or whatever might have been
Yep.
tacked in. Make sure you get that stuff done right. What back to but that small business vibe you get, the family-owned business.
Correct.
Big benefit for everybody, especially when you're talking about a deck, because how often is there some kind of a minor change or some kind of an update or something that they need reviewed, and you don't have to go through 4 levels of management to get a decision made. They talk right to you.
Exactly. As the owner of the company, they all have my number. So whereas like a lot of companies, you got to go through a lady at the desk, if it's a bigger company, then they got to go through the salesman, and they go here. I'm the owner of the company. You got a problem, they got my number. They've called me 7 days a week. I get calls on Sunday afternoons. I might be fishing. There's a phone call coming in, but I'll be happy to take it if it's that important for them to call me when all possible. Because again, being the owner of the company, I hold myself accountable for everything that goes on. So that's a great way to do that. A lot of owners just sit in their desk and you never ever know who the owner is. Well, with me, you'll know me.
Yeah,
You'll
that
see
even
my face from the beginning to the end.
and that even transfers further because 3 of the guys working for you, your sons or son-in-law,
Exactly.
and so the fruit doesn't fall too far from the tree. If they got a real question, you're gonna have somebody tied to the business going to be right there.
100% right. Yeah, we're all very transparent. We all work together, and it's very important as it being, like you said, several levels of you got to go through this person to that person get an answer. They go right to the source, call me, and I'll answer anything they need.
And it can be important, like I said, because you got to make a quick decision. You say, hey, you realize these steps are coming off over towards the side of the house. You need to have them come over to another part of the house.
That's correct.
These
And I drive
decisions-
right, and I'm always in the field as well. So not only am I an owner, I just don't sit behind a desk as an owner. I get out in the field as well and inspect jobs, meet with the homeowners. They have a problem that maybe my foreman can't answer. I show up right there when all need be, when the job's in progress, so that they're comfortable going, okay, the owner of the company who they trust, because they bought that deck through me, they can answer to me all the way through the job.
That's good to hear because it's a big decision. People are spending $25,000-$30,000 on something. They want to make sure it's done
It's a big investment. for
correctly.
sure.
If we finish up here, we might start off. We're going to have our expert here. And I'll stick around for the second half hour here because I can tell he's got a lot to share with us. We're going to give you some of that good look at some of his work. You can see it on the walls behind us here. But what's the biggest mistake people make? You're about 30 seconds left. Finish this up on the second half hour. But what is the biggest mistake people make? Is it always cutting corners, trying to get too cheap?
Cutting corners, going cheap as they can. That's the biggest deal. The deck business is not cheap. You want something quality, you're going to pay for quality. It's like if you buy a quality car, you want all the nice upgrades, you're going to pay for that. This here, you're buying something you're going to spend for 20, 25 years versus 5-6 years on a car. So, yeah.
I liked what he said there. Quality is not cheap. And why would you want to be cheap on something that's going to be attached to your house? These decks make the value of the homes go up.
Absolutely. As a former home inspector, as I used to be, something I did on the side for a couple of years, it taught me another side of the business, and that's in real estate. And definitely, it's a big investment. Get your money worth.
There you go. Stick around. We'll be back for our second half hour. You can watch it all on our YouTube. We'll be back. Giddy up.